Yeah, I know. It's one of those things, anytime I go on a hike where there's any sort of bear concern, I quick Google, all right, which one is it?
But that would be like if you said like, oh, if you see a cougar, kick it in the balls. But if you see a mountain lion, apologize.
Sup, nerds? It's basketball. Welcome to Horse, a basketball podcast about everything except for the wins and losses. My name is Mike Schubert, and I'm joined by my trusted co-host, the Chris Paul being on a team to that owner leaving in disgrace. It's Adam Mamawala. Adam, how's it going?
I tell you what, it's going okay. Chris Paul, a pretty amazing track record for starting under the tenure of one owner and leaving under the tenure of a different one.
Yeah, it's 3 now, right? Because there was the New Orleans Hornets, the Clippers, Donald Sterling, and now, as we'll cover in this episode, the Suns. He is clearly the GOAT at getting your owner out of town. Can the Knicks trade for Chris Paul?
If only Chris Paul had the same powers with NBA referee Scott Foster.
Oh, man. That's the final boss. That's his final. If he can find a way to get Scott Foster fired.
Yes. Notoriously, has he ever won a game with Scott Foster refereeing? Did that finally end, I think?
If it is, it's like 17-1. It's something truly absurd. And I think it's the playoff record that is the big concern, that Scott Foster games where Chris Paul is playing in them, Chris Paul loses. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We've got lots of ridiculous basketball stuff to cover this episode. We've got NBA stuff. We've got WNBA stuff. Lots of fun things. Let's get prepared to talk about those fun things. We have a fun interview. So much fun happening. Let's get ready for it in the Teal Memorial Locker Room. Teal is doing great.
Teal, if you hear this, which I'm sure you do, I'm going to be in Atlanta in October. If you want to come out, you let me know and I'll make sure you get free tickets.
The thing with Teal is that Teal has shown up to so many of our various live events that I don't remember where Teal lives because it's everywhere.
I believe that Teal lives like driving distance to Atlanta, but not in a way that's easy. Like I remember Teal saying that like the two of them drove 3 or 4 hours to get there. And I was like, I am not worth it. I thank you so much for being here, but geez Louise. Nevertheless, Teal, thank you so much. And if you do want to come out to the show, certainly let me know and I'll make that happen for you.
Anyone else can come too. You don't have to just be Teal. You don't have to just be a listener with a portion of the show named after you. But in the Teal Memorial Locker Room, we like to get centered. You know who else is getting centered in this Memorial Locker Room?
Got to be our patrons. How could it not be?
It's our patrons, especially our producer-level patrons. Polly Burge, Kendra Hadley, Salvatore Testa. Congratulations to the Las Vegas Aces, Salvatore. Trust the process, Siobhan Ellsbury. He sells seashells. Don't go chasing Taco Falls. Bang, bang. Long-suffering Timberwolves fan. Roast Beef Debris. Kate the Conqueror. Basketball is Life 2. Michaela Loves Allison. Denver Steam Nuggets. Anna Borgelli. Weird Questions. Mitch Chrysler. Steph Curry for 4 + 7 - 8.
That sounds like a 3. Bang!
Lobster Biscuit. Hi, Trish. And Ginger Spurs Boy. That was fun. Starting this recording off with a little bit of a math problem. I am recording this at the home of my brother and sister-in-law, who are both PhD math graduates, now professors. So feels like right place, right time.
I want you to leave that room right now and give them that math problem and see how quickly they can answer 4 + 7 - 8.
Probably 0.1 seconds. So, you know who else is at the right place and the right time in this episode?
I mean, it has to be our sponsor.
It is our sponsor, because this is the point in the episode where we talk about our sponsors. Our sponsor for this episode is Tab for a Cause, which is the easiest way to raise money for charity. Trust me, you can do it. It's so simple. All you got to do is go to tabforacause.org/horse, and then you install this into your browser. Every time you open a tab, you get a very pretty background picture, usually nature photography. It's very serene. You can add little widgets and stuff like that. There will be some ads in the bottom corner, but those ads raise money for charity, and you can pick what charity you would like funds to go towards. It's very simple. Every time you open a tab, you get a heart, and then you can move those hearts over to charities, and that tells Tab for a Cause which charities you'd like to support. There's a lot of great organizations, and it is so simple. I use it. I love it. So head on over to tabforacause.org/horse and get it loaded up, and you can turn your tab nightmareness, because I know you're a big tab guy, Adam. You can turn that into productive things that help the world.
Yeah. Anything over double digits is problematic for me, tab-wise.
We should get you some sort of other thing, tab for a not cause, that when you try to open a double-digit tab. It just says Adam.
In my defense, I do it strategically because that is my way of saying these are things I need to get to, but I don't have time for it now. So if it's like someone sends me something that they want me to take a look at and respond and give them feedback, I'll open that up in the tab. But sometimes it does sit there for several days, if not weeks, and that's no good. Also, way too many folders on my computer right now. I'm stressed out.
Well, maybe we can try to get an organization sponsor for a future episode.
That would be great.
That all aside, let's get into NB Q&A. You got a very fun question that I'm very excited to discuss here.
Yes, from the aforementioned producer-level patron Ginger Spurs Boy. The question was, so I think we would all love to see the WNBA expand to be just as big as the MenBA, but I wanted to see what's the number one city y'all would each like to see them expand to, and what would you name these hypothetical teams? I will let you go first. So we're talking about, is this the WNBA and the NBA, or is that?
I think we're just picking a new WNBA team.
Okay.
And we're putting it in a new city. Because the NBA, even if we were going to pick something, it's pretty set in stone that the two new teams will be Seattle and Las Vegas.
Right.
So I think it's more fun to talk about WNBA stuff.
All right.
So I'm looking at the map currently of past and current WNBA teams. And it feels like, and this is, I think, also just the way sports work in America. It feels like, what's in between the Midwest and the Pacific Northwest? What do we call Montana, North Dakota?
Not Hillary Clinton, I'll tell you that.
What do we call the Montana, Idaho, Wyomings of the world? Is that the Great Plains?
I guess the Great Plains, or yeah, because it's not the Northwest. So what?
No, Great Plains states.
Do you want like a Montana basketball team?
I am thinking Boise, Idaho would be very fun.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. I feel like a Boise team could be a lot of fun. It's kind of close to Utah, so you could have people who like the Utah Jazz root for this team.
Right.
You've got, Montana nearby. I just feel like this part of the country doesn't get a lot of sports team love. And I feel like aside from Boise State being known for its college football team having bluegrass, that's kind of about it. So I feel like a Boise team would be fun. And then the only thing I know about Idaho is potatoes. And then I also went to Idaho for a very good eclipse. Ooh, maybe, how about that? Because that's one of the few things I know about Idaho. It was a great time to see the eclipse. Maybe we do the Boise eclipse, which is fun because we've got like the sun and the Mercury. There's a lot of sky-based teams in the WNBA, so I feel like it would fit in pretty well. So yeah, I'm going to create the Boise eclipse.
Okay. Are you, Mike Schubert, familiar with the term Smurf turf?
Is that just what they call the Boise bluegrass football field?
That is exactly what they call it. So I am proposing, if anyone is confused, which I imagine most of you are, the Boise State College football team plays on a bright blue field, which is very jarring to, I assume, play on and certainly to watch. They play on this bright blue artificial turf field. So I am proposing that your Boise eclipses play on a bright blue court.
Ooh, that could be really fun. Even if it's not every game, it could be like the alternate courts that some teams have when they wear certain jerseys. That could be really fun.
Right. Okay, so I'm torn between a couple here. I'm going to give you one in a place where there's already sports and one in a place where there's not, and then I'll let you decide. So the Portland Trailblazers, you have been to games there.
Yes, I have.
As far as I can tell, that is one of the most electric atmospheres in the NBA.
Yeah.
Now, I completely acknowledge that there's probably a fairly strong Seattle Storm support system out in the Northwest. I would assume that anyone in Portland who is a WNBA fan just by default likes the Storm. But I do think it would be cool to have a WNBA team in Portland because I feel like that's a scene and community and just like a sort of place where they would be supported. Because of how hipstery Portland is, I would call them the Portland Beanies. And I think that could be a lot of fun.
Another cool name suggestion for Portland, because the current stadium is now called the Moda Center, but it used to be called the Rose Garden because Portland has this really cool rose garden where you can actually see real roses. They do these cool like experimental crossbreedings. Maybe to pay homage to that and to the old stadium, maybe the Portland Roses could be a fun team.
That could be very cool.
Get that back in the mix.
I like that. The other places I had in mind, are places that don't have professional teams, but have cool vibes with sports beyond that. What I mean by that is, I'm sure you saw the Field of Dreams game last year and perhaps
Yeah.
this year. So Iowa does not have a professional sports team, but they have the Field of Dreams location. They have a lot of interest in college sports. That's where the AAA Cubs are. So there's a lot of interest in baseball. Baseball reference, ding, ding, ding. So I think perhaps having a team in like Iowa City, which is a place that I visited, which is like underrated and really cool. Iowa City, or even like Omaha, which is where it's in Nebraska. It's where the College World Series is. I think that could be like a cool city where a team would really be embraced, especially because they don't have basketball there otherwise. Now, because these are Midwestern states and because of the recent internet phenomenon, I think just going simple with either the Iowa City or Omaha Cone could be the move.
God.
I mean, it has the juice, is what I'm told.
I do like Cornhuskers is always, I think, a very fun college football team name. So maybe just adapting that over would be good. Another one I'm realizing, if we want to go outside of the U.S., Vancouver, which very briefly had an NBA team, I think they would be a great candidate for a team. I made a create a team expansion draft team in NBA 2K19 or 2K20, and I called them the Vancouver Groove. I feel like a WNBA team, the Vancouver Groove, could also be really fun. Then we'd finally have a Canadian team because there's no Canadian team in the WNBA. So it could kind of be like the Raptors in the NBA, right, where the whole country roots for one team. So I'm making my choice A and choice B either Boise, Idaho, or Vancouver.
And I'm glad that you went with Groove instead of the Vancouver Lady Grizzlies.
Ugh, every college that does
the Lady
that,
Bears.
It's so weird. Like, just be the Bears. Why do you have... it's one of those weird old school things where it's like, well, we can't call the women's team the same thing as the men's team. That doesn't make any sense at all.
If you run into a bear in the woods, are you going to be like, oh, don't worry, we're safe. It's a lady bear. I sense that you are going to flee. Or what are you supposed to do? Do you back away? You make yourself big?
It depends on the bear. I believe black bears, you try to make yourself big and make a lot of noise. So you can kind of open up your jacket sleeves if you're wearing a jacket and flap your arms and make a lot of noise. Brown bears, you're supposed to fetal position, try to back away slowly. And then if they approach you, fetal position. And then polar bears, if you see one, you're screwed. Just game over. Just start, saying some prayers.
But for brown and black bears, are you telling me that in that moment of panic, I'm supposed to remember which bear it is and what I should do? Because those are completely opposite things.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those things. Anytime I go on a hike where there's any sort of bear concern, I quick Google, all right, which one is it?
But that would be like if you said like, oh, if you see a cougar, kick it in the balls. But if you see a mountain lion, apologize and run away.
Yeah, I felt okay about this until someone, I believe, once told me that one of the types of bears can have the other color fur. Someone once said like, oh, there's a type of brown bear with black fur or the reverse. And then I was like, well,
what are we supposed to do as colorblind people? Are you kidding me? We're screwed.
Oh, I'm so screwed, man. Anyway, this is a basketball podcast. So let's get into full court press. Get it? Like the news?
Let's do it.
Now we've got happy news and sad/happy news. Let's start with the sad/happy news, which does have a happy ending to be determined. But if you have heard anything about the Phoenix Suns recently, and we will be talking more about this with our interview guest, Aaron, in the ending section of this episode. But Robert Sarver, who is the owner of the Phoenix Suns and also the Phoenix Mercury, so NBA and WNBA owner, he's a terrible person. And it's been long known that he was a terrible person. But for the longest time, it was mainly just seen as him being a bad person in the weird business way and being very rude to people. But there was a report that came out about a year ago that really said that there were more nefarious things going on. Things like toxic workplace environment, sexual harassment environment, racist statements. So things that really ramped it up from Robert Sarver sucks to, oh, Robert Sarver is a terrible person and probably shouldn't own these teams. So there was an investigation that was launched. It looked into all of these things. It took a full year of reporting because there was already reporting before. Baxter Holmes from ESPN posted this very, very long thing where he had interviewed loads of people that worked for the Suns and the Mercury and got all these testimonials. Then a bunch of lawyers looked into it for the past year, and they confirmed that he said racist things and he said awful things to pregnant employees, and he did weird physical assault type things for men that work at the organization. awful stuff. We'll put a link to the ESPN article that kind of details all of these findings. But long story short, he did awful stuff. It was proven that he did awful stuff. And his punishment was just a year suspension and $10 million, which is about 2 to 3% of his net worth. So really not that big of a deal. And a year suspension when you're the owner really doesn't mean that much.
Right.
You just can't be at the games and make decisions, which who cares? You still own the team and you'll still get all the profits. And then Adam Silver had this very weird press conference where it was very clear that he didn't want to upset the other owners or Robert Sarver, because Sarver had threatened to kind of like bring all the other owners down with him. It was a messy situation. And you even had players speaking up. You had LeBron speak up. You had Chris Paul, who plays for the Suns, speak up, saying that there's no place for him in the league. The punishment wasn't severe enough. And some of the quotes Adam Silver said in the press conference just really didn't look good and just kind of showed that the NBA usually is progressive, but when money is at stake, they don't like to do that as much.
Yeah, I believe LeBron's direct quote was, "This ain't it." And perhaps that phrase has never been better used than in that context.
Right. So this was more of a frustrating situation. Lots of people upset about the severity of the punishment, saying that they probably should have made Sarver banned permanently or forced him to sell the team, which is what happened with Donald Sterling. But Donald Sterling was a different situation. There were outside of the NBA legal reasons that he kind of had to do it. But all of this was up in the air until a couple of hours ago. We're recording this on September 21st, so more information surely will be released. But Robert Sarver announced that he is going to sell the Suns and the Mercury, and he released a press statement that was very like, oh, because of cancel culture, I have to sell the teams and make like probably $3 billion. Like, shut up. No one feels bad for you. You're going to make $3 billion.
I believe it was like, because we now live in a society where people are not forgiven for their mistakes. And the thing that, oh my gosh, it whether it's Tom Brenneman using a homophobic slur on the air or anyone else, the fucking nerve and gall to bring religion into it and be like, I'm a man of faith, I am a man of God, and this is not representative of who I am. Like, I'm sorry, and this is not dismissing like how bad a DUI is, but like, this is not, you made a really dumb decision and you fucked up one time. This is a long history of you being a really bad person, and for you to come out and first of all be super passive aggressive in your non-apology and then bring your supposed faith into it. If you're a man of faith, this is not how people of faith are supposed to act.
Not at all. And I went to Catholic school for many, many years, from K through high school. And there's this cool part in the Bible where someone asks Jesus, like, hey, if you could boil this all down to one sentence, what would you say? And his answer is, treat others the way you want to be treated. Love your neighbor as yourself. And I don't think calling people slurs it falls under that one sentence summary. Right. So yeah, that's all a bunch of bullshit. I hate when people play that card. And I also hate when people say that, oh, this isn't who I am. Even taking religion out of the side, like clearly it is who you are, because you don't just like accidentally say slurs, and you don't accidentally do it repeated times, and you don't accidentally create a toxic work environment. You don't accidentally make pregnant women at your office feel uncomfortable and like they can't progress in the company. Like, those aren't just oopsie things.
Right.
You are a bad person. This is who you are.
I tell you what, though, obviously the major silver lining to this whole story is that he will ultimately sell the team. But the secondary silver lining is that I believe we somehow figured out a loophole in which we tricked the horse curse into believing that it was succeeding in breaking this news. But I think the powers that be didn't realize that we had yet to record full court press, because when you hear this interview with Aaron, who is a Suns fan and expert, this news had not broken yet, as you will hear from the way we discuss it. But we hadn't recorded this part yet, and I think this could be a major paradigm shift for the Horse Boys.
It's going to increase the workflow because we have to do multiple recordings per an episode. But look, it's not the journey, it's a destination. You know, if you get the results, you can't argue with the results.
It is true. It is true.
Yeah. The one thing that you had said earlier about the whole totality of my actions kind of thing, that is part of what was in Adam Silver's statement. And it was such crap. Like, it was such baloney that he was trying to pull the whole, oh, these things that were found in the report, some of them happened years ago, and we should judge Robert Sarver based on the person he is today, which is still a terrible person. But also, Adam Silver said something to the effect of, we should judge someone on the totality of their character, not just what they've done recently or whatever. And this is a point that Zach Lowe made on his podcast. There's a very, very good episode of The Lowe Post that came out recently that dives into all of the Suns stuff. And he interviewed Baxter Holmes, who did all of the reporting. So if you want to know more about it and understand that situation, we'll link to that episode. It's really, really good and very thorough. But Zach Lowe made the point, if Adam Silver is saying that people should be judged on the totality of their actions, Robert Sarver should have been fired years ago. He's a terrible person and everybody knew it.
Mic drop. No question about it.
Yeah. So thankfully, the happy ending here is that the Suns will be sold. Hopefully, they'll be sold to someone that is a better person. I would think that the NBA is highly invested in that being the case. So we'll see what happens. And hopefully it becomes a good thing for Suns fans, just like when the Clippers got bought by incredibly rich person, Steve Ballmer, who loves to spend money on the team. You would hope that happens for the Suns and for the Mercury. And maybe this owner will even get on the Brittany Griner case, there's a lot of opportunity for whoever steps in to Robert Sarver's shit-filled shoes. So here's hoping the best owner possible buys the team as good as a billionaire can be.
Woof. But now that we've gotten that out of the way, before we get to our interview, let's talk about the WNBA Finals, which obviously we talked about in the last episode. A little disappointing that the Storm and Sky could have potentially played each other. Neither team made it to the WNBA Finals after the Sun. I think, we recorded it the morning of Game 5.
The morning of,
man, that was hard to watch. The Sky were up by 9 with 3 or 4 minutes left in the game at home. And then the Sun scored 18 consecutive points to flip-flop the scoreboards. They went from down 9 to up 9, and it was tough to watch. But all that being said, obviously the Sky won last year. The Sun were a very deserving team. And so the WNBA Finals began, the Las Vegas Aces versus the Connecticut Sun. I don't know how much of the games you were able to watch. I think I watched one full game and then the full highlights of all the other games. Let me just say that Chelsea Gray is maybe the best player I've ever seen in my life, and swaggy beyond belief and just phenomenal. I do have to say that I was not familiar with Alyssa Thomas's jump shot, and it really bothers me. I want to be clear that this has nothing to do with gender. I would equally criticize Sean Marion and Joakim Noah and any man who has a really weird jumper, but how do you make it to that level of basketball shooting a ball like that? I don't understand it. It's somehow very effective, but it's confusing to me.
Yeah, it's certainly a unique form, but to get back to Chelsea Gray, the most deserving Finals MVP I could ever think of. Just so unanimous. She played great the entire playoffs.
Yeah.
She shot something like 75% overall, which you don't have to know basketball very well to know that that's really good. Average of I don't know what the league average in the WNBA is, but good players like your Asia Wilsons and your Breonna Stewarts of the world, they shoot about 50%. And that's really good. If you can make half your shots, if you can make 3/4 of your shots,
especially when you're shooting from outside most of the time, that's the other thing.
That's the thing in basketball. We don't want to get too nuts and boltsy here, but usually you will see players that if all they do is shoot layups close to the basket, or in the NBA case, you have guys like Mitchell Robinson on the Knicks who set the record for field goal percentage. All he does is dunk. His only shot is dunk or receive an alley-oop, which is just a different flavor of dunk. And even on that, he shot 72%.
Right.
And that was the record in the NBA. Chelsea Gray shooting 75% and shooting a lot of three-pointers is truly ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
I'll say it this way for context. Kobe Bryant scoring 81 points, shooting 20-footers is exponentially more impressive than Wilt Chamberlain scoring 100 on a bunch of 6-foot white guys when he only dunked the whole game.
Yeah.
Both are impressive, but one is way more impressive. And Chelsea Gray, I mean, it started during the early rounds and particularly against the Storm, much to your chagrin, I'm sure. But just an absolute display of both dribbling and shooting and supreme confidence, which was huge because Kelsey Plum struggled a good amount throughout chunks of the playoffs and the finals. Not struggling during the parade. We've retweeted some things, and Kelsey Plum is lit, as was AJ Wilson during the press conferences. But overall, ultimately, the Aces did get it done in a very close Game 4, which if they had lost would have led to a winner-take-all Game 5. But ultimately, they got it done in Connecticut. If there's anything I got right, I did say in our last episode, regardless of who wins between the Sun and the Sky, I'm fairly certain the Aces are going to win the series. And they were the best team all year. I think they were tied with the Sky for the best record in the WNBA, and certainly looked like the best team throughout the playoffs. But good for them. Good for Las Vegas. First ever major championship for a Las Vegas team, which is really cool. Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts? I mean, well, we shared and retweeted the some of the some of the silliness at the press conference, but it is worth watching every second of.
Yeah, we'll link to those, but it's just a really good feel-good story for a lot of players on the team. Kelsey Plum was a number 1 pick years ago, and she was kind of an underwhelming player by number 1 pick standards. Still good, but not what you think when you have the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Right. And then she tore her ACL last year, and this was her first year back, or maybe her second year back, but regardless, this season she just exploded and truly became the number 1 pick that people thought that she was going to be. So for her to finally reach that potential and get a title at the end of it is very cool. And then A'ja Wilson, same thing. She was someone that was very good, had won the MVP, but then this year just absolutely put on a display. She won Defensive Player of the Year and MVP. She was an all-star captain, meaning she had the most all-star votes. It was just truly an incredible year from her. And for her to be rewarded with a championship at the end of it just makes it one of those really cool seasons where you can look at all of the things that she did and you can be happy. And even the Aces won the mid-season tournament, the Commissioner's Cup that the WNBA has. So just a dominant year from the Aces. And the final really cool story is Becky Hammon, the coach, famously the longtime assistant coach for the Spurs and never really got the chance to have a head coaching job in the NBA. She had interviewed places, never really seemed to get the gig.
I think she might now. Not that she didn't deserve to before, but...
Right. Know. So she got this offer. She's the highest paid coach in the WNBA. People thought, oh, is she going to really be good? And she has a legendary career in the WNBA. And she played for the Liberty. I believe she also played for the Stars, who now are the Aces. So I think it's a return to the team, which is really cool. And they used to be a Spurs affiliate team. So for her in her first year to win the title and kind of, in a way, prove to the basketball world, hey, I know what the fuck I'm doing, is really cool. So once the Storm were out, all my chips were in for the Aces, pun intended. And on top of all of that, Salvatore Testa, one of my closest friends, is a huge Aces fan. So it's really cool for him. We were messaging a lot back and forth when the games were going on. We bet on the outcome of the Storm Aces game, much like you and I. So I have to cook Sal a meal when I visit him in October. So I will be making him some sadness tacos, but now they're celebration tacos. So
I tell you what a year for trusting the process. Sal got married.
You know,
the Aces won the championship. What a 2022.
Good year for Sal. Great year. So it was fun. I'm glad the Aces won. And I'm excited for the next season because there's a lot of really good teams. The WNBA is very well spread out. There's a lot of parity in the league. Even this playoffs, it was kind of a toss-up with so many teams and no series the entire playoffs felt like, oh, this other team can't win. So I'm excited for future years. I would love to see them expand the season and expand the playoffs and have more games. Like, I was sad that some of these series were only 5 games. I wanted them to go more. So hopefully the increased interest in it will also result in even more games in the future.
If it stays in, I think the coolest thing would be like some sort of play-in that's just like a 1-game winner-take-all, then a best of 3 first round, best of 5 conference final, best of 7 final, I think would be really cool.
It'd be really cool. A 1-3-5-7, yeah.
And also, as much as people who shit on the WNBA are always talking about like, oh, it's not played above the rim. Let me tell you something. You don't need to be dunking on people to talk a lot of shit, because there was a lot of shit being talked and it was a lot of fun to watch.
It's good. It was really, really good. So we'll put a whole bunch of fun links to all fun stuff that happened, but it was a good series. It was a good playoffs and it was a good time. Congrats to the Aces. And now we can get to our interview, which will close out the episode with Aaron Edwards, who is a stand-up comedian and a comedy writer and a basketball comedy writer and a basketball podcaster, big Suns fan.
Occasional Twitter instigator, unintentionally.
Yeah, we talk about the Suns stuff, obviously, before we knew the Sarver of it all. We talk about just his general Suns fandom, and then we get into the interesting intricacies of NBA Twitter, both him going viral on a Kyrie tweet, and then also just us looking into how players treat social media and how strange it can be from time to time.
Indeed.
So, as promised, we'll be closing out this episode with a very special interview. Going to be covering lots of fun and interesting topics with a guy who is a stand-up comedian, a writer for Crooked Media and All Caps NBA. He's also a part of the Locked On Suns podcast. It's Aaron Edwards. Aaron, how's it going?
It's going good. Thanks for having me, you guys. This is I'm just glad to be doing this. This is really fun.
We are happy to have you. It's funny because when we're thinking of guests that we want to bring on Horse, I remember earlier in the season when the Suns are doing well, I was like, oh, there's this guy, Aaron. He does All Caps NBA. He's a big Suns fan. Maybe if the Suns do well, we can have him on as like a, look, they won the championship thing. And then interesting playoff run. And I was like, all right, maybe too soon. Maybe we'll wait. And then now there's just too much Suns things happening where it's come back around full circle where it was going to be happy times. Now it's more sad times. From your Suns fan perspective, how is it feeling to be on the fan receiving end of this very interesting situation?
It was like one of those things that we were already kind of sure was going on. Like, Sarver has been a dirtbag since I was in high school. Like, that was like 20 years ago. So it was just like everybody knew that he was kind of just like a dick. And that's what like everybody was talking about from the start was, and why he only got the 1-game suspension. The league couldn't determine if he was racist or just a dick. Like, they're like, we don't know which one he is more of. So we're just going to lean the other way. And I think that was just like, Suns fans knew this entire time. And then it's just funny for the world to finally be seeing what we already knew for a while.
Yeah. You said 1-game suspension. It is a 1-year suspension,
1 year.
But I think that's a perfect thing to say because it does feel, it basically feels like 1 game. What does it even mean? Like, who cares if the owner gets suspended? It's not like he's playing. Like, it doesn't change anything.
Yeah, I think he like just can't use his really weird floor seats. He like sits in the corner. It's like not even good seats for an owner. Like, I never understood that. But I guess he just can't be part of basketball operations. So pretty much for a year, other people get to spend his money. Like, that's pretty much what it means.
It doesn't really sound like much of a punishment. Yeah, it's interesting because I feel kind of like this with James Dolan, but James Dolan as the Knicks owner is less of like, he's if there was a report about him being a terrible person in the same way as Sarver, I don't think anyone would be surprised. But I feel like the Sarver stuff was way more out in the open. So yeah, I guess it wouldn't be a big surprise on your end as a fan of the team that's been following it. A little bit of history of that. How'd you get into the Suns? Are you born and raised in Phoenix? How did it all come for you to be a fan of a franchise that has had their ups and downs?
Well, actually, I moved here from Indiana, but we moved here from Gary. So, like, at the top part of Indiana, it's all Chicago Bulls, like none of that Pacer shit. So it's like we're like 45 minutes away from Chicago. So, like, my family is all Chicago. We moved here in like 95 or something. So we're in the middle of the Bulls run. Everything in our family is just going great. We got Michael Jordan. We're going to like parades. Like, we all have our Bulls t-shirts. And then like after a while, like after Jordan left, I was just like, there's really no attachment I have to this team anymore. And I might as well just join my hometown team. So then like around then I was starting to get into basketball, and then the 7 seconds or less Suns started. And that was kind of just like the perfect time to start loving the Suns, because that was just the most fun basketball I'd ever seen up to that point.
Yeah. Those Suns teams with Steve Nash and Amare and Boris Diaw and everybody, those are very fun. Those teams are going on when the Knicks were especially bad. So I had a little bit of like, oh, what if I...
The Eddie Curry days?
Oh, yeah. Not an ideal time. And the Suns had cool uniforms. They had the cool logo. I was very much a mid-2000s Suns appreciator from afar.
I love the Boris Diaw callback. I haven't thought of Boris Diaw in a long time. I most associate him with the game during which Bill Walton was commentating and referred to Boris Diaw as, quote, a classical human being. I still don't know what that meant. It was something about like, oh, he listens to Vivaldi and he's just a classical human being.
And like both teams, like there's like this thing with Boris around town, like even with like the Spurs, like if you ask any of those players, like who's one of your favorite teammates, literally all of them are going to say Boris Diaw. It's one of the weirdest things that like everybody he's ever played with loves him so much because he's just like a cool hang.
He was the original Big Head Coffee. Jimmy Butler got all the fame for bringing his coffee machine to the bubble, but Boris Diaw used to bring his espresso machine on all the road games. He was the original visionary of that movement. And Jimmy just kind of copied it. Now Jimmy Butler's doing Big Head Coffee combos with Van Leeuwen's ice cream here in New York. I did have it. It was really good. But Boris was the visionary.
Yeah, and just the way he played basketball was like fun. He was like kind of a chubby dude that could D you up and a great passer and could shoot and like rebound. Like he was just like pretty much what I consider myself as a hooper now. Like it shouldn't work, but it works somehow.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're recording this as I'm literally icing my knee from having played basketball earlier in the day. But Boris Diaw is the classic like old man game sort of vibe that like you go to the Y and you're like, I know I'm more athletic than this person. This guy can't even jump, he can't move, and he's just so much better than me, and it's driving me nuts.
Yeah, I think like Adam Sandler has built his pickup basketball career like off of Boris Diaw. Like that's what I assume that Adam Sandler plays basketball like.
And he's also he's patterned his basketball outfits off of early 2000s Allen Iverson apparently.
Yes.
This is the baggiest shorts you've ever seen.
He wears the same size shorts as Boris Diaw. It's just that he's not 6'8" or whatever. So
Adam Sandler wears like I have to definitely do laundry soon basketball shorts. Like that's how I know I'm getting low.
The ones that have the elastic waistband doesn't stretch at all anymore. It's already fully stretched out. You're like tying the ropes like all the way, like wrapped around your waist to keep them up. Yeah. Bottom of the barrel shorts. Boris Diaw was always funny because I remember distinctly one of my buddies, Josh, like showing me an NBA 2K 4 or 5 or whatever, like, oh, he's a power forward, but he can shoot threes. And me being like, what does that even mean? Those people don't shoot threes. What are you talking about? Like, it was such an eye-opening experience. What a man.
Now I'm like, what? Your power forward can't shoot threes? What is your basketball team like?
Right now, like nowadays, it's so different. Things have changed so much. But moving to more current Suns, the Suns had a very fun year last year where they were just going all out. They were surprising the world, shocking the world. Even the year before, like it was a shock the world that they even got to the finals. But then last season, they were first place. They were doing great. And then unfortunately, the playoffs didn't pan out as you hope. What was it like for the roller coaster of a Suns fan? Just you have this franchise that's usually not doing well. And then, except for when they had that one surprise year out of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, it also started in the bubble when they were just they were nasty in the bubble. Yeah,
that bubble
you
year,
like won all 8 games in the bubble.
Yeah, it was like Rubio, like you could tell it was coming together. Like Booker was kind of figuring out who he was, and that's when like the fun like really started. Like I know Ayton got suspended for a game because he forgot to take like a COVID test or something, but like it was just you can tell it was about to start getting fun. Like how Memphis fans felt last year or the year before. It was just kind of like one of those build-up kind of things like, oh, that was kind of fun. I wonder what we're going to do next year. I didn't expect a finals run. I thought it was going to be a slower build. And me and my co-host Brandon talk about it all the time. Like, people didn't accept us. Like, it seemed like there are a lot more Suns haters. Like, since we weren't like this scrappy up-and-coming thing. Like, it went from, oh, kind of all right to finals. And it wasn't like this build-up like, oh, that team was good. Like, oh, look at them. Like, they're working really hard over there. And I think it felt like a lot of people thought we didn't earn it. So that's what kind of made us like a little bit like an FU year last year.
Do you think, and I think this is probably a key to the success of the team, Chris Paul being on the team took you to the next level. Do you think Chris Paul's general vibe of no one liking Chris Paul, did that contribute to the Suns hate? Like, were people more okay with hating the Suns because Chris Paul was on the Suns? And they're like, oh, well, I don't like this guy, so screw his team.
Of course. Chris Paul is so easy to hate. And I felt like, and people are starting to realize like how Booker acts because we didn't get a lot of TV games and we didn't get like a lot of recognition. But so everybody is finally like kind of anti-Booker because they didn't know he acted like this before. But it was because he was playing on really terrible teams, but Booker has always been this. He's always been a jerk. He's always been kind of an asshole. And now that Chris Paul is next to him, it's kind of like double trouble. So it's easy to hate both of them because you kind of didn't expect that from him.
It also never helps when you're like in the Jenner Kardashian universe. Like that's never plus points for anybody.
No, like it's double easy to hate because on the basketball court, he's easy to hate. And off the court, he's easy to hate. Even though whenever they're together, it still just looks like they're just hanging out. Like, I can't picture him hanging out with her family. Like, it seems like they hang out outside of that.
I mean, would you want to hang out with that family?
Absolutely not.
Now, you've touched on CP3, you've touched on Booker. Another big name with the Suns is DeAndre Ayton, who had a big ESPN article, which I don't understand how DeAndre Ayton's agent didn't get that shut down before it was published, especially because he was looking for a max contract. It was basically a big article about how he's addicted to video games. When that came out, how do you feel knowing that your multi-million-dollar center who has a history of maybe not giving it his all in key games? How do you feel when that article comes out saying like, yeah, this dude plays Fortnite or whatever until the wee hours of the morning?
I wasn't shocked just because he's like 23 years old. Like, I don't expect a 23-year-old to be like super mature coming out of the gate. Like, and that was kind of the difference between Booker. Like, CP3 said that when he met Booker, I think he was 25, and he was like, this is like a 40-year-old man in a 25-year-old body. Like, Booker is just like so serious and angry all the time. Like, that's just not a normal 22-year-old, 23-year-old though. So if anything, like, I was less shocked. Like, he has a kid now, so I don't know where he finds the time as somebody that has a 13-year-old. Like, I don't know how he does it, but I wasn't really shocked that Ayton is kind of like an immature 22-year-old. I was a mess when I was 22. You give me that many dollars, I'll be more of a mess probably.
Yeah, I mean, it's valid. It's valid. It's one of those weird things where I feel like the stigma around kids playing video games is this whole, oh man, they're slackers. But weirdly, players playing a lot of video games gets more hate than players like going out to the club and drinking until 2 a.m. where even if you're staying up till 3 a.m. every night playing video games, you're certainly getting better rest than if you're coming back from the bars at 3 a.m. with however many drinks inside of you. But weirdly, I feel like the video game stuff gets way more internet ire than partying.
Well,
does.
also though, like, if that's a way for people to detach and shut their brains off for a little bit, like, by all means, I don't think people should be criticizing that. DeAndre Ayton, though, to me is one of those people, kind of like a Greg Oden, where I'm like, you're 40 years old. I cannot look at you and accept that you are in your early 20s. You look like you have children who are in college. I don't understand how this is possible.
Yeah, it seems like people get more mad at the video game aspect of it. But when we see Harden out in the club, we're like, oh, Harden being Harden. Like, look at him at it, going at it again. Like, it seems like it's more of a joke when players are out at the club now, but it's way more serious when they stay at home and aren't getting in trouble and are just trying to play a little bit of Call of Duty.
I mean, never forget Lou Williams going to the strip club during the bubble year. For the wings, he said.
What a weird 2020 bingo card moment when it was Jack Harlow's Instagram story accidentally ratted out Lou Will for breaking COVID protocol.
So many insane words for wings.
Look, I've heard the wings are good, so we'll have to do some market research eventually.
So now, Aaron, I assume obviously that the year that the Suns got to the finals, like, that certainly wasn't your expectation going into that year or even necessarily the playoffs. But like, once they get there, obviously on paper, it's like, oh, if you had told me at the beginning of the year they would get to the finals, I'd be happy with that. But still, when they don't come through, like, how much did that hurt?
Just because we were up 2-0 and it just seemed like I was sure it was ours. Like, if Giannis was supposed to be hurt, so it was like I just saw him, like, his knee bend the other way like a week before, and I was just like, we just have too much firepower, and there's no way without, like, the best player in the NBA are they going to be able to do this. And he turned out to be completely fine. That's when I realized it was probably going to be a little bit more of a struggle. But when we went up 2-0, I was pretty positive that we had it.
Yeah, I mean, Suns in 4 was a meme, so.
Yeah, and I know people that went to high school with that dude. So yeah, like, it was like this, it was like a huge thing, like, that we chanted everywhere.
The Suns in 4 guy, and we'll post a link to this for anyone who doesn't remember. Basically, it was a guy who, like, I think punched someone out during a game and then screamed Suns in 4.
Yeah, he beat up like 2 dudes at the Denver Nuggets game. I think it was like game 3, and he beat up 2 dudes at the same time. And then he, like, held one of them and said Suns in 4 while holding one of them. And that was a rallying cry after that.
It was. And I understand people trying to get their money when they can. But, like, then all of a sudden I'm looking at that guy's Instagram and it's like, hey, I'm going to be in bottle service tonight. Like, I'm the special guest of this night. I was like, oh, we can't have anything nice anymore. Like, Corn Kid is charging $10 million on Cameo. It's just, what's the point of anything?
It's actually kind of worked. I think I went to Hoop last Friday at LA Fitness and somebody had a t-shirt with his face on it with the 4 up. Like, he got some money, I think.
Good. I mean, hey, good for him.
Now, I guess with this season, it's an interesting time because you had the surprise finals run, and then you had almost the inverse where I think everybody expected the Suns to do better than they did in the playoffs. So now with this season going into it, where do the expectations lie? You had a year of surpassing the expectations. You had a year of underwhelming. Where do you think the Suns are going to fall now? What are you expecting? What's going to be something that would make you happy or sad?
I think the pressure is off now. I think they wanted to be the number 1 seed last year because that entire summer, it was everybody saying, like, everybody we played was hurt. That's why we made it to the finals. And it was kind of just one of those, like, fuck you type things. Like, all right, like, we'll ball out again this year. And I think they kind of just gas themselves out trying to be the number 1 seed. So, like, my expectations is, like, the pressure is off. We don't have to be a 1 seed. Like, I'd rather it be, like, a 4 or, like, a 5 and Chris Paul not have to play 36 minutes a game like he was playing. Like, I just want us to be healthy going into the playoffs rather than being the best team in the league going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that's valid. And I feel like you see a lot of teams do this. Like the Bucks kind of did this where they had the good regular season year and then they had the embarrassing loss in the bubble. And then the next year they kind of like chilled until the playoffs. And then they took it seriously. The Warriors, even when they set the record for winning 73 games in a year, ended up losing in the finals and then ended up winning it next year after taking it off. So yeah, maybe you throw Chris Paul in a little cryogenic freezing chamber where he can eat his plant-based diet and just kind of have him rest up until the playoffs begin.
Yeah, I think Jason said, like, he was like, can you just, like, change the clocks in Chris Paul's house and, like, the calendars and don't tell his body that it's spring? Like, if you don't let his body know that it's spring, it won't get hurt kind of thing. And I feel like that's what it has to be for him. You just have to hide him and, like, change the calendars and don't let him know that it's May and you'll be good to go.
I do have to ask you, Aaron. This is not. It's not a troll move. I'm a lifetime Chicago Cubs fan. I've had my share of heartbreak. As you're watching Game 7 against the Mavs last year, which for anyone who's not familiar, it was a Game 7. No one expected the Mavs to even push it that far, and then the Suns just got blown out in Phoenix. Like, what are your emotions during that? Are you throwing things? Are you kind of just like sitting there calmly watching it happen? Like, what kind of fan are you when you're watching something like that go down?
You can just tell by the body language. And we were hooping. Me and my friends, we hoop at this place, Grant Park, every morning on Sundays. And then, like, it's all Suns fans. Like, we all met on Suns Twitter, and our friend just got the key to the gym. And we all, like, 12 of us, 13 of us go hoop every Sunday morning. And the vibes in there were so weird before the game. Like, it was kind of like we were playing and, like, none of us wanted to talk about the game at all. And then, like, it was just, like, weird. So, like, the whole day was weird. And then when the first quarter started, I felt what was about to happen. And I think mid-second, I was like, I'm not watching this. And I think I tweeted it. I was like, well, you guys can watch this. I'm watching New Girl.
Yep.
And I just turned on New Girl on Netflix. And, like, I'm still scrolling Twitter and I see that it's getting worse. And I'm, like, so happy that I'm not watching. But, like, just seeing everybody's tweets, it was like, oh my God, 40 points. And I was like, nope, I was going to turn this back on, but I'm not doing it.
What do you think accounted for that nervous energy? Like, why do you think you all kind of had that same feeling about it?
Because how they played in Game 6, like, they did not play well in Game 6, and it wasn't one of those things that seemed like just a bad game. They didn't have, like, the energy, it seemed like the Mavs just figured them out. And it didn't seem like one of those things that was going to be able to get fixed by Game 7.
Well, I mean, it didn't help that Luka went into God mode either.
Yeah, that'll happen.
When you got the best player on the floor, like, those things can happen.
Yeah, for sure. Now, moving a little bit away from the particular on the court stuff and more to a big Suns legend off court. As a Suns fan, how do you feel about Charles Barkley, who has a interesting relationship where he's a Suns legend, but then he was critical of the Suns. And then he had some things on NBA and TNT. My favorite clip when he was doing the stale nachos rant, which is still, I think, the best NBA and TNT moment ever. Where does Chuck sit in Suns fandom? Do people like him? Do they think he's too mean? Where's he at?
They love Chuck out here. Like, It's one of those things where, like, you know he's out here, and everybody that says they've met him, like, they've gotten to have a drink with him, and he's just a blast. Like, he's one of those things where, like, you just want to run into him one day because you know it's going to be a fun night. And that's just how it is out here. Like, he's just like this kind of unicorn that you know exists in Phoenix. You know he's always here. You know he's always in Scottsdale, and you just want to end up at the same spot some way, somehow. Like, everybody loves Chuck.
He's like the Bill Murray of Phoenix.
Yes, I was going to say that. He's exactly like the Bill Murray of Phoenix. You're just like, Chuck's at my wedding. We taking tequila shots together. Let's do this. Like, it's one of those things.
Also, recently, you had a fun foray into NBA Twitter where you are a great follow. I would recommend anyone follow you for any sort of tweets, basketball, new girl, anything. But you recently had a very funny tweet where it was something to the effect of trying to guess how many times KD has to say, damn, that's crazy, when speaking to Kyrie Irving. And it blew up to like 50,000 likes. Not only did you go viral on NBA Twitter, but you went viral on Kyrie NBA Twitter, which is a scary, scary place. And as we record this, Kyrie just tweeted even more anti-vax BS on Tuesday, September 20th. So it's only going to be worse. What was it like to have your toes thrown into the pools of Kyrie dark NBA Twitter?
Well, I saw his tweet this morning and I like literally tweeted, I was like, not touching it. They just got off of me. I was like, I finally got him out of my mentions. I'm not touching this one.
Much like his feelings about the vaccine, not touching it.
not touching it. But it was weird. Like I've had tweets go viral and you can tell when like a switch changes, like I made fun of Utah and I had one go viral and you can tell when the Utah people find it and then it starts to like be that switch. You can tell when like the anger comes. I had a viral one with making a joke about Joe Rogan and that is one you really don't want to have. like I would not want to wish that on anybody. Like, and so, and you can get like that. You're getting the ha-has like this is hilarious. And then you can see when one person finds it and then you're like, uh-oh. And then it starts to like snowball and you realize like you're in the shit now. And that's how it was with Kyrie. Like it was all laughs. And then like you see one person with like an alpha like screen name and you're just like, they're calling you a sheep and you're like, uh-oh, one person found it. And then it's just like, oh, and then it just starts snowballing and it's just a bunch of people with just free thinker in their description, like coming at you, and it does not stop. Your DMs are crazy, like all of it. Like it just gets out of control.
Did you have anything really uncomfortable happen where people are like getting big mad at you, either in a DM or in the reply, or like emailing you or finding out personal info? Like, did it get that nasty?
No, like it usually like it's a couple DMs like every couple days, and there's like calling you a sheep or like you're part of like the problem and like all this stuff. It's like the regular steps that they hit. And it's like, this doesn't work. You're going to die because of it. Like, it's like all that stuff. Like, it's just like the regular anti-vax stuff. Like, it's nothing too insane. The Joe Rogan one was crazy, but that's just because those people are just like, love him so much and they're insane.
I mean, I feel like there is some amount of crossover between people who support Kyrie Irving and Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I could feel like there was probably like a couple people that I didn't block the first time that snuck through again. You can always tell when you kind of make fun of somebody that has a following and they don't believe in something that you believe in. You can always tell when the other people find it. It's usually like the next morning though. Like the first day is like all the laughs. So you're like, oh, that was fun. And you forget about it. You're like, all right, I muted it. Like that's done. And then you wake up and you're like, whoa, what happened? Like, and then you're like, holy shit, they're still talking about that thing? Like, and then that's where you know it's getting like crazy.
Yeah, I had it happen to me once. It was like, was it last year or 2 years ago? Like the first year where Juneteenth was like a national holiday. And I tweeted something to the effect of like, dear fellow white people, like today's not the day to ask your black friends what Juneteenth is. Today's the day to just Google it. and like the first day, like everything was fine. But then the next morning I got quote tweeted into like anti-Semitic Twitter where people thought because my nose is kind of big that they were like, this guy's not white, he's Jewish. And then like all these other people were like, yeah, and I am 0% Jewish, but I was getting lots of people telling me that I should die because I'm Jewish. And I was like, well, first off, I'm not, but also what? Like, it was so, and you're right. It was the next day. It was super weird. And it was just like, why is this tweet from yesterday popping off? Oh no. Oh no.
Also, like, it doesn't, even if you were Jewish, does that make what you tweeted the day before any less valid? Like, what does that have to do with anything?
Their whole issue was that I started it with to my fellow white people, and for anti-Semitic folks, I guess.
Like, you're not one of us.
You're not one of us. Yeah. It's like, you're trying to bring down our culture. Yeah, it was super weird. Dude, and the amount of weird memes that I got sent, like, these people just have these things saved to their phone. It was wild. It was so strange.
Yeah.
Like, they've got a folder.
Yeah, it's like, it was like so wild because people are like, Joe Biden's gonna kill you, like Trump 2020. And I'm like, bro, I don't like that dude either. Like, what are we doing here? Like you think you're dunking on me saying you don't like Biden? Like, I'm not gonna have a fucking politician sticker on my car. Like, all of you are dumb. Like, I don't like any of this.
What's funny about that, Mike, is that there was a period of years in my early 20s where for like 3 or 4 consecutive years, once a month, I would get an email asking me if I wanted to go on Birthright. And like every time I either deleted it or I would respond like, my last name is Mama Walla. Like, what are you doing? But I wonder if I was just like on a database of comedians named Adam. They're like, he's got to be Jewish.
Your ethnically ambiguousness knows no bounds, Adam. I feel like you could get into any party you wanted. You could find a way.
Arguably, my skin tone is closer to what Jesus's really was. So I don't know if that means anything, but
look. If you want a free trip, go through.
I honestly, I should have just gone. They would have been like, this feels like a clerical error.
So speaking of NBA Twitter, NBA news, all that kind of stuff, you're one of the writers for All Caps, which when the season is going on is a weekly video series on YouTube, kind of similar to what we do, where you talk about all the silly, wild things that happen in the NBA. For us, we make this show every 2 weeks, and we often run into the issue where right after we record, usually within minutes of hitting stop, some big news will happen. You guys even run into this just trying to get stuff out on a weekly basis. What is it like just making a show where you're trying to cover everything that's happened in the NBA this week? However, things can happen on Thursday night and you post them on Friday. What is it like just to be a part of a production like that?
Yeah, I'll give you a peek behind the curtain. So when shit like that happens, we have this thing called pickups. Like, so we'll record all the way up until like a game that we know is big. We do our meeting on Tuesday. We kind of like have our fake songs written out or whatever, like whatever thing I have to write. Like I try to have it written out like that night because we start recording at like Wednesday at noon. And Thursday is production, and then Friday we release it by like 6 a.m. But if something big happens, like Thursday night, we have to like put back our clothes that we wore on Tuesday and literally shoot it like it happened, like we're just recording. So when we have like a meeting for pickups, we're waiting for a game to end. And then I get back right into this computer and I wear what I wore before and we act like we're shooting one straight episode straight through.
I didn't think about the video element of it because we almost always just post audio. Like occasionally we'll post video clips, but generally it's just audio. So like that becomes a little easier to manipulate the time if we have to jump back on. But yeah, that's funny. You're doing like continuity errors. You're like, wait, was my necklace inside my shirt or outside my shirt? I can't remember.
Yeah,
I got a haircut yesterday.
Yeah, and it's like, and I have like long hair, and like sometimes I'll be like, well, I have braids this morning, and I don't know how to get out of this now. So it's like one of those things where like I have to like either wear a hat every episode or like have something figured out with my hair, or it's gonna look weird.
That's funny.
Now, you had tweeted that this past week would have been an incredible All Caps NBA week because you've got the Sun stuff going on, and then there's further drama after the Sun stuff where like the jersey sponsor, PayPal, doesn't want to renew. You've got the minority owners releasing separate statements, putting Sarver on blast. Now you've got all that stuff, but I feel like you all would have had a big field day with Doc Rivers' Twitter likes showing that he likes a bunch of porn stuff.
Yes.
Do you buy his apology that he was hacked? I didn't see this until after all the likes were gone, but
I think so because like I feel like I didn't know people looked at other people's likes that much. So I think it would have to be somebody who's like all the way in Twitter to like know that people look at other people's likes and just know that Doc Rivers or think that Doc Rivers is liking shit like that. You saw what happened to Ted Cruz. Like it was just somebody caught his likes and it became this huge thing. And so I think like it was just a really good joke of somebody hacking somebody and just liking the wildest shit that you could like on there.
The thing with Twitter likes, what I've noticed is that I don't know how often people are clicking to someone's likes tabs and seeing what they're liking, but especially if you don't follow a lot of people on Twitter, the homepage now, because they're always trying to make you see tweets of people you're not following, like by any means necessary. Twitter wants you to see tweets from people you don't follow. And I've gotten a lot of so-and-so liked this tweet. So maybe that's how it popped into the mix. Honestly, like for me, I have to be cautious about it too, because I've definitely had something where I liked a tweet and then someone was like, oh, you think that's funny? Like they screenshot the thing where it's like, Mike Schubert liked this tweet. Yeah. So like there's a lot of times where I see a tweet, I click like, and then I'm like, what is the worst possible interpretation of someone seeing that I like this tweet? And then I unlike it. I do that multiple times a day.
Yeah. Like I keep it like fairly cool on there, so I don't really think that I would get in trouble for most of this stuff. I mean, it hasn't happened yet, and I say some really wild shit on there, and I haven't gotten in trouble yet. So I'm just waiting until my day comes. Like if I become the main character one day because of something that I like or said, I'll just have to eat that.
I'm always running into the fact that I think I have 4 different Twitter accounts in my, like I have access to 4 different things from like multiple podcasts and one other thing that I do. And so sometimes I'll like forget which account I'm in, and then I reply to something and I'm like, oh, well, that's not something that Horse would say. That's something that I would say. I better get rid of that. The thing I don't understand, even if it was Doc Rivers liking it, like with Twitter, Instagram, any of that, like, do people understand that you can look at something and say to yourself, I like that, without pressing a button? Like you can see, I mean, Pablo Sandoval, who used to play for the San Francisco Giants, he was known as like the Panda Bear. He's like this incredibly large man who played baseball, but he got fined because he was liking butts during a game. I think he like went to take a shit during a baseball game and had his phone with him, and he was just like liking butts on Instagram, and they found the timestamps and they were like, sorry, you can't have your phone during the game.
I mean, would he have gotten in trouble if he was liking something other than butts? Like, where do they draw the line at?
Well, if anything, the funny part about it is like the rule is that he's not supposed to have his phone to like access baseball related things. But like the last thing on his mind was baseball at that moment. He was just looking at butts.
He was on his butt, doing butt stuff, looking at butts. It was a very butt-themed afternoon for Mr. Sandoval. Yeah, I feel like at least it should be a setting in Twitter where you can maybe say, like, don't make my likes public. But I mean, I feel like with players, this is such a thing because it's always funny, the life of an NBA player on social media, because I feel like when you reach NBA status, you can do the thing where you just tweet like 4 emojis and then everybody starts releasing thesis papers about what you mean by it. Right. And that is something that I would never do ever. But like every now and then, like I don't subtweet people, but every now and then when something pisses me off, I'm like, whoa, what if I just tweeted like a singular emoji and then everybody tried to interpret what I mean? But it's such a thing with NBA players. They'll like see things where it's like, oh, Rudy Gobert liked this random tweet where this guy said, oh man, Donovan Mitchell should pass the ball to Rudy more. And then it becomes a story. It's if I was a professional athlete, I would not click. I would have the most boring social media ever. No, I wouldn't follow anybody. I would have no likes. I would just be like Russell Westbrook, where I only posted videos of me driving in my car shirtless, singing the songs. Like that would be the sole use of my Instagram.
I think that's why it's so addicting. It's because like Twitter is set up like in the worst way, but also the best way for drama. Like that's all of that app is. Like it's set up for accidental drama, like purposeful drama. Like it's set up to like have you fail. That's why so many people have so many weird shit happen to them on there because it's set up for terrible or hilarious things to happen.
I wish I could. I just wish I could see instead of Twitter likes, you know, like when some strange people have their Venmo stuff public. Like I want to see I want to see NBA Venmo. Just see like, you know, the little drinks emoji, but it's for like 14 grand.
I mean, today, Crowder, like he tweeted something about him being like the highest scoring player or something over Derrick Rose or something. And then he was all like, I'd rather have the rings that AD and Drew Holiday stole from me. And J.R. Smith quote tweeted him and he was like, I would rather have that bread you owe me. So it's like one of those things where like drama just happens on there. And I would want to see like an NBA Venmo thing too. Because now I want to know how much money Crowder owes J.R. Smith.
Because it's one of those things, it could be any amount of money, especially just because the lifestyle is so different. The amount of money that they spend on meals and wine is so different. It's always funny listening to a player podcast, like when JJ Redick talks about wine, even when he does the thing where he's like, oh, let me talk about more affordable wines. And he talks about wines that still cost triple digits. It's like, JJ, if it's more than $20, I'm not buying it. Come on. He's like, oh yeah, this one's only $125. Like, JJ, stop. But yeah, like Venmo stuff, like with the card games and the Blu-ray games, like his debt could be so much. Who's to say?
Yeah, it's like those players are back there putting like real money down. And like, since you have the money to your disposal, like I can't believe the NBA players could just be like, I got you later. Like, you can do this now. Like, we have this money right now. Like, I don't know how NBA players can do IOUs when they know you have the money. You're wearing it around your neck. Like, I don't know how Jay Crowder has gotten out of like paying J.R. Smith money.
Well, I mean, famously, wasn't that the thing with Gilbert Arenas and Javaris Crittenden?
Yeah.
Was that like someone owed someone money over a card game or something like that, and then there was a weapon involved? Like, I imagine it does become a thing. And again, we the running joke on Horse is that it's a basketball podcast where we always make baseball references. But there was an incident this year where Tommy Pham slapped Jock Peterson in the face over a fantasy football dispute.
And Geno Smith got his jaw literally broken by one of his teammates when he was on the Jets with Rex Ryan over a dispute. Like, it set his career back, like, completely. Like, it's wild that those dudes have debts with teammates because it's just a click away. Like, it just seems so easy to do when you're in it.
Well, but I think the point is that, like, once you're that rich, then you just adjust to how rich you are, so that like in the same way that you or I might be like, oh yeah, I'll get you the next time, like I owe you $10. Like $10 to them is 10 grand, but it's the same. They've just adjusted the scale.
Yeah. But especially in this day and age with Venmo and stuff, it should be a lot easier. I was reading the book that Chris Herring wrote about the Knicks, Blood in the Garden, and he was talking about how Charles Oakley would bring, and this was back in the 90s, but he brought a credit card swipe, like that old school like thing where it goes clunk clunk and it like no I mean, but no, the old school version of that where it would like do the imprint on paper.
Oh my gosh,
like,
from Home Alone.
Old.
That's
yeah,
so
like the old school, like, you know, the 3-layer paper imprint, like I guess however they did credit card stuff back in the day. But he like brought one on the plane so that people, if they were betting a lot of money on cards and stuff, could pay then and there.
He's got like the green accounting visor on, tabulating numbers.
Yeah, he's got a typewriter and everything. He's one of those calculators that prints the really long, thin receipts. Yeah, I don't know. The drama of NBA Twitter is so intense to where even the tiniest things get scrutinized. When people change their bios, it gets noticed. People go, oh man, he took whatever out of his bio, or oh, he added this. Like, everything is under a microscope. And I feel like if you're an NBA player, you are just constantly playing with fire, anything you do on social media.
But they also are dramatic.
Yeah.
They're like the most dramatic players in the league. Like, it's not like they didn't do this to themselves. Like, these dudes are so dramatic. They're insanely more dramatic than all the other players. So they kind of feed into it because we know that, I mean, they subtweet all the time. It's not like they accidentally did any of this stuff. It's because they do it all the time. It's not an accident.
Yeah, I mean, they mentioned it during the Last Dance documentary, but like, imagine Dennis Rodman leaving the team to go to Vegas for a week in the era of Instagram stories.
It'd be terrible. It'd be terrible. That's why I think Joel Embiid is such a refreshing presence on NBA social media, because when he is beefing with someone, he posts a picture of him dunking on them and then tags them in it. Like, at Andre Drummond, you're a bum. Love Joel Embiid. Here's a 5-picture Instagram post with me dunking on you 5 times. Like, it's so direct. You kind of have to respect it.
Yeah, and that's why like the direct players aren't fun. Like, LeBron, like, he's the most subtweetingest dude ever. And like, he created it, I think. He created what the NBA is right now with the Instagram captions and like leaving people out. And like, he's so calculated that now, like, you just have to be that to be in the NBA. So all of these dudes are like that now.
We should do an entire episode about the tweet that started it all, which was his subtweet at Kevin Love, where he said, stop trying to fit out and fit in. Something vague like, I wish people who are so busy fitting out would just focus and fit in or whatever. And it was so clearly about Kevin Love. Like, that, I think that was a landmark NBA subtweet moment.
Yeah, and now they all talk to each other like this.
Well, just to kind of bring it back around on a more serious note, LeBron did tweet about the punishment handed down for Sarver.
Yes.
Was very displeased with how inadequate he felt it was. I assume you agree, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. Like, where do you stand on what the punishment was, what it should have been, like how it's going to impact the franchise in general?
Well, we've all been wanting him to lose the team for like years, and it was cool that LeBron did it because we were like, God damn, like which one of our players are going to do it? Like, do they feel confident even doing it? And since Chris Paul, this is his like third go around doing this, I kind of assumed that he was going to be the one to say something because he's kind of had to do this before. But LeBron doing it was a big deal. But pretty much everybody wanted Sarver to lose the team already, and it wouldn't be that much of a like punishment. It's $1 billion punishment. Like, oh my God, you have to sell the team and give you $1 billion to not have the team anymore. It didn't seem like that much of a punishment.
Right, it's the same as Donald Sterling. I mean, he ultimately he made a bunch of money off the Clippers, even though he had to sell the team.
Yeah. I'm glad LeBron spoke up because then Chris Paul followed suit not soon after. So I don't know if it was just by chance, if he was already going to say something. Regardless, I think even if you don't force Sarver to sell the team, because the thing with the Donald Sterling situation is that they had the other Shelley Sterling stuff where she like through court got him to be recognized as like unfit to run the team. And that was like a whole separate legal thing. Even if you don't do that with Sarver, Adam Silver has the ability to just make this 1 year kind of ban a forever thing where he can still like own the asset, which is I think what Adam Silver was trying to say when he worded it the worst possible way ever to say that owners of the team have more rights than other people. Like, big yikes. But at the very, very least, you can stop short of forcing him to sell the team and just make him like permanently banned and let other people run it. And then like, yeah, he can still like own the asset of the team, but he isn't involved in the league at all. And I was very surprised that the league didn't go in that direction. Like just 1 year is so minimal for someone that was like verified doing these things by all these witnesses, and like lawyers came in and they were like, yeah, this guy said the N-word 5 times. He did sexual harassment type things 8 times. Like the receipts are there in a multiple page report that just anybody can read on ESPN.com.
Sarver's a proud dude and he's like an asshole too. So it was like, I think Silver knew that he was willing to stretch this out. Sarver has alluded to being like, well, if you want to take my team away, I'll tell you what other owners are doing. And that's when it turns out that Adam Silver's like, oh shit, like I do work for these guys and they could really, really hurt the league if they start all telling on each other. And Sarver's petty enough to do that. Like if he goes down, he will bring other people down with him if he has to. And the league wasn't ready to test that.
Yeah. I mean, Sarver is such a proud dude. He might even be a proud boy.
Would not be surprised at all. Well, what better way to end this interview than on that
I feel like there are way better ways to end it, honestly. We should keep going.
But Aaron, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show, talking about all various things. If people want to find you either on Twitter or the other things we alluded to earlier in the episode, where can they find you?
Twitter and Instagram, Aaroned, AYRONED. And I'll probably start hitting the stand-up circuit soon. So just check out both those, and I'll let you know from there.
Do you have any burner accounts you want to plug, or?
No, not anymore. Like I had the one from college, and I had scraped it, and so like I just had to get rid of it. So no, I'm all good now. I'm clean. It's just me.
I just wanted to make sure we asked.
It's all good. It's all good. Well, thank you again, and best of luck to the Suns. I very much wanted them to win, and Adam and I were both pulling for them. So if they could have a good run this year, we will be chanting behind you, unless they play either the Knicks or the Bulls. Then we're going to have to root for our own individual teams. But I don't expect the Knicks to get there, so I don't think.
Yeah, the Bulls and Knicks are not getting to the finals. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah. I hope at the very least this is Thibs last year for you. Like, I hope that for you at least.
It's really just anyone's guess whose voice is going to fully stop working between Tibbs and Doc Rivers first. I mean, you can't coach if you can't talk.
Oh, man. Well, thanks again, Aaron. This was a blast.
Thanks for having me, you guys.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Horse Horses, hosted by Adam Amawala and Mike Schubert. Our editor is Misha Stanton. The music is by Bettina Campomanes. The website is by Kelly Beckman Schubert, and the art is by Allison Wakeman. And the social media is by both of the Horse Boys.
Thank you to our producer-level patrons, Polly Burge, Kendra Hadley, Salvatore Testa, Trust the Process, Siobhan Ellsbury, He Sells Seashells, Don't Go Chasing Taco Falls, Bang, Bang, Long-Suffering Timberwolves fan, Roast Beef Debris, Cade the Conqueror, Basketball is Life 2, Michaela Loves Allison, Denver Steam Nuggets, Anna Borjali, Weird Questions, Mitch Chrysler, Steph Curry for 4 + 7 - 8.
Bang.
Lobster Bisquet, Hi Trish, and Ginger Spurs Boy. And thanks again for the great NB Q&A, Ginger Spurs Boy. And please do keep sending those to us. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Horse Hoops and on Twitter at Horse_Hoops because
Horse Hoops didn't replenish the champagne in the Las Vegas Aces locker room quick enough, and Asia Wilson got them booted out of there because Asia was on a mission to drink champagne, as she should have done.
And tequila shots.
Yeah. Her eyes bugging out when that was mentioned. I did the same thing. Just like champagne plus tequila, an interesting combination to say the least.
Indeed. Well, if you want to see videos of that exact thing, you can go to our website, horsehoops.com, for links to that and many of the other things we alluded to in the episode.
And if you want to support us, you can go to patreon.com/horsehoops. You can get stickers, you can get jerseys, you can get access to bonus content, whether that is text or audio or video. All that fun stuff lives at patreon.com/horsehoops. And we will close this episode out as we always do by putting our hands in the middle and saying something on the count of 3. We feeling anything, Adam? Got any thoughts?
Well, you know, we talked about this off air. I was at the Yankees game last night. I left early. It's killing me inside, but I know how much it means to you. So this is going to be a first, maybe, to end a basketball podcast with a baseball reference. But how about Here Comes the Judge?
That sounds great to me. Here comes the judge on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Here comes the judge.
Pretty sweet. Pretty sweet.
Maybe I'll go tonight. Who knows?